Do you see this city on the hill? This is the city Samaria. Thick walls around the houses where the people live. But what do you see in the valley around the city? There are camps. There are enemies, all soldiers from another country. This is a disaster for the people in Samaria. When they would leave the city, you can imagine what happens. So they closed the gates and everyone hides inside. But when no one can go in or out the city, that means on a certain moment, when shops are empty, they can't go and get new food from outside the city. And what happens when shops are empty? The enemies know when we will just stay here as long as possible, on a certain moment the people in the city will starve, and they will just open the gates, and then we can enter the city and it will be ours. Do you see the boy in the street? He is crying. He is so hungry. People are indeed starving. Any food that is still in the city is sold at ridiculously high prices. Moms are desperate. How can they feed their children? And where is food for themselves? The king of Israel is walking on the city wall to see what is happening. Then a woman cries to him, "Help me, my king!" The king answers, "If the Lord doesn't help you, where can I get help for you?" Is that true? Do you think the Lord doesn't want to help? Are the people asking for help from the Lord? Are they praying? The Lord asked the woman, "What's the matter?" Then she tells a terrible story to the king. She says, "There was a man who said to me, 'Give up your son, so we may eat him today, and tomorrow we will eat my son.' So we cooked my son and ate him. The next day I said to her, 'Give up your son, so we may eat him.' But she had hidden him." This is terrible. When the king hears the woman's words, he tears his robes as a sign of sadness. As he goes along the wall, the people look and they see that under his robes he has sackcloth on his body. The king is so angry, he looks for someone to blame. He says, "This all happens because of the prophet Elisha. I will kill him." Elisha is at his house in the city with the elders. God tells him what the king is planning to do. Then Elisha says to the elders, "This murderer is sending someone to cut off my head." When the messenger of the king comes, shut the door and hold it shut against him. While Elisha is still talking, the messenger arrives outside Elisha's house. The king follows soon afterwards, supported by an officer. What will they do? The king is mad at Elisha, but he is also mad at the Lord. Do you know what he says? "This disaster is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" The Lord hears everything from us. He also hears the words of the king. What will God do? Elisha replies, "The Lord says that by this time tomorrow food will be available at cheap prices." How merciful from the Lord! No punishment, but help. The officer of the king mocks. "Ha! Even if the Lord opens the floodgates of the heavens, this cannot happen." Why is it so difficult to trust the words of the Lord? Why does the king's officer not believe what Elisha is prophesying? Elisha says now to the officer, "You will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat any of it." Is it also hard for you to believe the words of the Lord? Do you trust the words of the Bible? In the next story you will see that the Lord always does what he says.